Hello, welcome to Andertons TV. My name is Jack Duxbury and Oz Powell is behind the camera. Thanks for being here, mate. And in front of me lies the world's most controversial synthesizer as of, September 2024. It is the Vongon Replay. What is the Vongon Replay? Well, it is this. It's a tiny little metal synthesizer with a DSP, digital brain in there, as I understand it, in the vein of classics like the Juno 106 and the Korg Poly 6. I implore you for a deep dive, especially a very current one from my good man Jorb. Love you, mate. He's done a great walkthrough recently, but there's also Emily Hopkins and a beautiful guitar player called Matt Johnston. I can remember thoroughly enjoying their videos, and I've played this out on the road, but let's just get, this is what it sounds like with everything initialized essentially in a saw wave with this envelope. Let's listen to it. Change the octave. That's the lowest. Let's get a bit of release going. Very interesting. Again, forgive me, this is very controversial, so I'm sure a lot of you are watching this knowing, already having an idea of it, but Andertons is a music store in Guildford and we are selling this bit of kit, so I just got to cover a few things. Very interesting keyboard mechanism with Cherry MX keys, apparently something to do from the QWERTY keyboard community. You can even swap these keys out, gives it a very unique, it's like playing a keyboard, like an old Acorn keyboard. I mean, I'm a sucker for that. I think it sounds really nice like that. Also, just let you know the setup we've got a screen grab going because you just plug this in via the micro USB into here and you can use the editor. So I can see I've got more options than I can see on this keyboard, because one of the controversial things is the styling of it, right? So white controls. When you're in the flesh, I can assure you from this distance, it's legible. For a guy, I don't wear, fortunate enough, touch wood, to not wear glasses yet, but I can definitely make out what these, in this light, I can make out what it does, but it's way more legible with this editor. Let's play you the two oscillator types that are available through the switching on the device itself. So this is the saw wave. I'll put a bit of release on again. This is the square wave. And we've got pulse width on that. All the way through to 0. Six voices at a time, polyphony. A single envelope that's combined with the amp envelope. So that means that any changes we do here will be combined to the amp envelope and the filter, but Jorb does a really great section in his video about the other two modes in terms of how that relates with this gate and release mode, but we'll just keep it simple. We've got a single LFO here on the left that we can introduce to something like the oscillator and get that moving, so listen what happens there. Let's sweep the filter. Let's go back to a saw wave with a little bit of movement and see what the filter does. Take the envelope off so we can hear it. Now with half mask resonance. Full resonance. If we go to a lower sound down here, pull up that resonance, the bottom end goes away. As I understand, it's modelled on a Moog filter, so an interesting combination of inspiration here, but that means that we lose a bit of bottom end when we bring up that resonance. The LFO we've got pre-assigned control here to the filter, so let's take that off. Let's go to the square wave. Halfway on the PWM, and let's get this LFO going on the filter, halfway down. Interestingly, what I like about this editor is that I can see I have way more options, all the options really. I think these can be done through button combinations, Oz, but this is really handy here. I've got quite a good selection of waveforms to modulate through, especially quite a rare one, which is the smooth sample and hold, which should be really nice on the filter and give it kind of like a tape crinkly effect, hopefully. So let's get that going. Let's get that going on the oscillator as well. Marketed as well, it says in there Arpeggiator as well as a synth. Odd to put that in the title, but I suppose it takes up a lot of the real estate on this bit of kit. Again, really clear to see on the editor over here, but I can see it here as well. If I want to up, down Arpeggiator, put that halfway, and let's play a chord. And then turn it on to keyed. We've got a range. We can put it into order, which means that it'll trigger the arpeggio in the order of the notes. Believe it or not, that's quite a rare feature. So if I do this order, you can hear that being triggered in the order. It also means that if you can latch it and then kind of add notes in. So let's do that, and I'll change the wave. Oddly as well, just point out that you've only got a selection of off in the middle, because you can run an external input into here and use the filter, or saw and square. You've got more options when using the editor, so we can put a triangle wave in there. Let's do that. And what was I going to say? I was going to say, oh, we can put it to random. But when we go back to that order, I can get an arpeggio and then just add other notes at the end. And one thing I saw, I've seen a lot of things about this keyboard written about it, but a lot of people made a great observation of like, oh, I've only seen dudes playing it with the white keys, because of there's normally on any keyboard you play, they'll differentiate the height of the black key. So much of normal keyboard playing is predicated on the black keys being higher, so you can do all the type of keyboard licks you do. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to try and make a sound. Let's go back to, let's hear this sine wave, which we haven't heard yet. I'll open up the filter, put an envelope to a normal thing, turn the arpeggiator off. It's really lovely and see, and there's quite, one thing I'd say, I've updated to the latest firmware, but if I've got the VCA level here, there's a real bit of grit that comes in at the top. We can't really, I don't know enough about it, but just got to be honest there. So we're taming it back here. I can hear that grit coming. But what I was going to say, yeah, back to, let's say I wanted to do put some grace notes in. How else can I do it? Like, so you can shred. Someone made a good point. Like, what about A flat, for example? So that's where it's really hard because the keys aren't there. I mean, it's a very odd. They're not even the same size. At least on an OP1, they're the same size. So I think it's punishingly beautiful to stand in front of. And I saw this in a shop when I was traveling, and I was very much drawn to it. I get that when you look at it on paper, it might not make sense. So I implore you, I'm not going to try petition for it either way, but Andertons does sell this and it's available to play in the shop, and you've got to make your own mind up. I find it quite meditative, the time I spent on it in that shop and coming back to it. I keep hearing this word sweet spot a lot. So I'm going to kind of jam out and leave you there with it, but implore you, go look for deeper dives from my man Jorb, Emily Hopkins, Mark Johnson, anyone else out there who's really trying to pick this apart as a value proposition. Luckily I don't. I just have to say we sell it. Yeah, so we'll play it. Thanks Oz for filming this. We'll leave some audio at the end. I'll leave this rolling so you might see what settings we got. And we'll see you soon on Andertons Television.